Honestly, folks, if I were Meghan, I would also refuse to go to the coronation. I mean, let's forget about being stuck talking to people you suspect do not like you and you would be right. There is also the nightmare of being upstaged. It doesn't matter how much money that woman spends on a hat, the king's is always going to be a lot fancier. So I can understand why she's choosing to remain in California, the land of freebies. The question, though, is why exactly has Harry decided to come? He has accused his family of briefing the media against him and Meghan. He's accused his own brother of physical assault. And then, of course, who could forget his stupid memoir Spare, which maybe he didn't write, but he has definitely read because he recorded the audiobook. So he has to know that he portrayed the monarchy as basically abusive. According to the book, it really is like living in a fishbowl. The royals are essentially kept as pets, deprived of any autonomy and put on display for everyone. If William is the heir, then Harry was born to be the backup, distraction, diversion, and if necessary, a spare part. Kidney perhaps, blood transfusion, speck of bone marrow, he wrote. Now, the Windsors are famous for suppressing their emotions, even in front of the people they're closest to, but there sure was a lot of bloodletting in that book. So no wonder Harry was about to explode. No wonder he ran off to America where he claims he felt relieved to be among people who say how they really feel. Well, alright, Harry, many Brits have made that journey, and many of them came crawling back. At first, Californian honesty can seem refreshing. The barriers seem to fall down, and people are made to feel like they're understood. But then, the openness turns into oversharing, and you start to realize that really they don't have all that much to say, they just like hearing themselves talk. You get sick of people telling you that their chakras are out of line, for example, or we can learn a lot from the dolphins. Harry has to be missing Britain's brooding silences. You can tell that from Harry's description of Frogmore Gardens in April. He said, the trees were bare, but the air was soft. The sky was gray, but the tulips were popping. The light was pale, but the indigo lake, threading through the gardens, glowed. The tension is palpable between the ghostwriter who believes the monarchy to be insane and Harry whose memories he's got to understand are bittersweet enough to suggest that, deep down, he really loves it. So that's why he simply cannot let go. Harry has denigrated his family, but he still wants to be among them. He has suggested that the monarchy is absurd, but at the same time he uses that title, and so do his children if they're real. The truth of the matter is, Meghan and Harry have never wanted equality in the sense of being regular people. What they want is to be equal among aristocrats. They want to have their royal status honored and recognized. We cannot rightly call them Republican Jacobins. In fact, they're a lot closer in spirit to Jacobites, asserting a disputed claim from a foreign fleshpot. But this is also problematic because they were not forced into exile. They flounced off and they were the ones who burned the bridges behind them. No one made them speak to Oprah. No one made them spill their guts on Netflix. Now, for a long time, the Windsors have said they would take them back, and the invitation to the coronation proves that. So it looks to me like the responsibility for this problem lies with Meghan and Harry, who probably believe they could easily withdraw from royal duties but still enjoy all the trappings of royalty. And isn't that typical? There are many of us who want to have our cake and eat it too. See, a lot of Brits undervalue the institutions, from church to education to family. They starve them of money or effort, but still expect them to be there when we want them. And in many ways, Americans are guilty of the same thing. The Crown is just the most perfect example of a culture that has been taken for granted for quite some time. People still make fun of the monarchy, but for one weekend in May, boy, are they going to celebrate its traditions, including the very people who for the rest of the year claim to find it disgusting. If Republicans were actually sincere in their ideology, they would probably volunteer to work on the bank holiday Monday, just like the Puritans did carry on through Christmas. But I suspect they're going to want to take the whole weekend off. They're going to wallow in the street parties, and they're going to enjoy Take That playing Windsor Castle. They'll agree that nobody does this as well as the Brits, and then the very next day, Britain's going to resume its project to make sure that they can never do it again by saying that these customs are elitist and saying the history is racist. Even the monarchy is supporting a study into its relationship with the slave trade. Harry thinks his wokeness makes him so unique, but it doesn't. In fact, it's right in line with the rest of the establishment. So I think as Harry sits down in one of the back rows, he's going to find himself right back where he belongs, because Britain made him and Britain looks a lot like him too. Throughout history, many Brits have had a bit of a Robinson Crusoe complex, a desire to strike out on one's own and discover the world, only to return to a country that's going to be exactly like they remember it. Indeed, one of the biggest jobs of the monarchy is to remain constant. After all the changes the UK has been through, the fact that this institution goes on being itself is refreshing. But it doesn't happen by accident. If every royal acted like Harry, if every royal just walked away when things got tough or too boring, there would be no monarchy left. There would be no home for Harry to return to. So I hope that he tells his father and his brother thank you for keeping things ticking along while he was gone, for doing their duty. I'm sure many Brits were in that position, and they came to understand what really is special and precious about home. We can really say the same for every nationality who has experienced life abroad. I mean, can you imagine what Harry experiences every single day? He went from one of the most popular royals with a huge platform to being a nobody. At least he's got that McMansion in Montecito in sunny weather, but still, he has really fallen. Harry was in a very unique position, too. He was a British prince living in the US, married to an American woman, needing to make his own money for the first time ever. And he decided to make his money by selling out his own family, the monarchy, the Commonwealth, and also the heritage of his own children. And at the same time, he still expected the kudos that come with being a member of the royal family. Harry has sold his mother's memory for cash. It's only a matter of time before he starts in on his late grandmother, too. I don't care how much he misses everything that England represents. I'm glad that he does. He was the one, though, who gave up all of those rights the minute that he signed up with Netflix and Penguin Random House. Harry has proven himself to be a traitor. I hope that he never comes to the UK again after the coronation, and also maybe one of his many court cases are concluded. If members of the royal family want to meet with him after that, well, maybe they can go somewhere else like Switzerland. Right now, we are watching history in the making. We know what the uniforms and the robes stand for. At the late Queen's funeral, for every person in that procession, it was a day at work. They weren't just toy soldiers in costumes. And that's why the monarchy still exists. Not every child joins the family business, but still, usually they don't set out to try to bring it down. Harry believed that he was going to have an easy ride, that he would get millions of dollars his whole life, and that he needed that to join in with the really rich people in California. And you, do you agree with me? Please tell me your opinion below in the comment section. If you think my video is interesting, don't be afraid to like and share it with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it anytime you want.